don't have
Talking
anything.
about missing 12 to 13 players, we want to talk
Oh
about
yeah, it's a good segue. It's a good segue. It is a good segue. We got to talk about what is going on in Baltimore right now. There are a lot of inactives. I am so worried about this team, and let me tell you, I mean this as a Steeler fan. You expect the Ravens, as currently constructed, to be a Super Bowl contender. I believe that the AFC, at least before Kansas City, kind of has some guys who are either suspended or injured returning. Within the window, I was expecting Baltimore to have a much better record than this. I mean, the Bills, okay, but you're looking at the rest of these games, they have not looked good offensively. Derrick Henry has a case of the fumbleitis. Um, the coaching in terms of offensive and to preference, I'm going to lean on your expertise. Kayla actually you write a lot about the Baltimore Ravens. You have a lot of insight being at WBAL. We both were at WBAL, so that is the flagship station for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm sure you talked to Jerry Sandusky, legendary voice for the Ravens and sports director. So I'm gonna lean to you on this expertise and give you my opinion. I'm a Steelers fan, so it may not mean anything, but take it away. Like, this is crazy. It's crazy what's going on right now. They could literally be 1-5 if they're not careful. I mean, we can go over their the rest of their schedule in the month of October.
Yeah, I expected their injury report this week, and for those who don't know, on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, if you have a Sunday game, um, there will be a report released about players who are dealing with whatever injury it is. If they didn't practice, if they practiced in a limited way, they were a full participant in practice. It's documented. Usually, players will have an injury designation following Friday based off of those 3 days of what they're able to do during the week. And for the last couple of weeks, that had been building on defense. We do know quarterback Lamar Jackson left week 4 against Kansas City with a hamstring injury. He looked pretty upset on the sidelines, and a lot of people speculated that because of the score differential in that game, they just pulled him out for safety reasons. But then as the week went on, he didn't practice. It was still hamstring related. He was adamant. He was telling media that he was going to try it out before the game today at 1 p.m. And just see how he feels, see if he could go. And basically the coaching staff on Friday was like, we're not going to do that. You do have a significant hamstring injury, or you're on your way there. Ruled him out. So Cooper Rush will start. But not just that, like, I felt like I needed to crack open like a beer to sit back and read the injury report, because I pulled it up, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 people, just like David said, that appeared on the injury report for good reasons or another. But a lot of them were on defense. I mean, you have cornerbacks Chidobe Awuzie and Marlon Humphrey. Both of them are out after not practicing either all week or in a limited capacity at least one day. But while Kyle Hamilton's going to try to play, he went from a limited participant to not practicing for Thursday and Friday. And usually when that happens, they're usually just designated as an out. So I think that is a case for the Ravens this week, that they're hoping that he can go because they have so many injuries that even though he didn't practice, maybe he can give them half the snaps. Like, I think that, but regardless, not 100%, maybe not even 50% if he's out on the field.
Yeah.
But Roquan Smith is out. Like, there comes a point where you go, okay, the defensive coordinator, like, you cannot blame him for having to work with the guys that he has. But I've questioned the strength and conditioning of the Ravens for many years. I mean, it was multiple seasons in a row where the running back room took season-ending injuries. I'll never forget the J.K. Dobbins debacle multiple years. And you have to look at, are they practicing correctly? Are they, like, what conditioning are they doing that is forcing the entire defensive line or the entire secondary to appear on the injury report multiple weeks in a row? And sure, you draft guys, but while you have standout rookies, I mean, Malachi Starks might have the green dot today, which means he will be the one communicating with the sideline and then
Yeah,
relaying the plays out. Like, I don't remember a rookie ever doing that. Like,
yeah,
what kind of confidence do you have? What kind of leadership is going to be bought into him? Like, I don't want a 22-year-old if I'm Jair Alexander telling me what to do. I'm a veteran. And, while Alexander has been inactive for a couple games because he looked real bad in week one, he's probably going to be out there today. And while they go, oh, there's a team mentality. I'm sorry. I don't want somebody at my job who's 5 years younger than me telling me what I need to do or
yeah.
whatever the age gap is. And I, I just feel like there's just going to be miscommunication or not wanting to give 100% on defense. And then you go to Cooper Rush, who I have to give credit to playing well, coming in multiple game stints multiple times in his career, backing up Dak Prescott. Prescott has had gross ankle injuries or just injuries overall. But the Ravens today lose the ability to extend plays. They lose the ability to have a mobile quarterback because Cooper Rush is essentially Joe Flacco. He's a pocket passer. Um, he is going to be relying on his guys to run crisp routes faster than they normally do. And
Mhm.
he needs to trust his reads. Whatever read is open or not, he either needs to throw the ball away or he needs to pick the first one because Houston's defense showed last week that they are still the best side of the football for that team, too. And they're just going to be able to close. I don't want to see Will Anderson running at Cooper Rush in 2 seconds. Like that's going to be crazy to me today.
Yeah.
Will Anderson's going to play. There was a question Tuesday, Wednesday, but he practiced in full, so he's no injury designation. But um, I don't know. I don't know if the offensive line is up for the task of blocking to allow him 3 seconds even to be able to get the ball out comfortably. And
Mhm.
it's just asking a lot. So I think there's a world today where Baltimore is 1-5, and they already have only 12 teams since 1970 have made the playoffs after starting 1-4. So
There's room
I
for
they
error.
go
Yeah.
1-5, and I think honestly this is going to be a shot at Ravens fans, but they've been so spoiled that the fact that they're calling for John Harbaugh to be fired is crazy. Like, if you want to fire this man, fire Mike McDaniel and give me John Harbaugh. Like,
Yeah.
yes,
All
that was a
day.
lot of information, but now
No, you're
you got.
good. You're good. I lean on you because I know you cover them. I know you've had better insight than me. I can talk outside of the room as a Steeler fan of what I've seen, but it's good to talk to someone who's actually in the city of Baltimore, covers Baltimore, and can give the fans a lot of perspective. Right. Here's my deal. Right. I think that it's become very evident over the last couple of years with Coach Orr's defense. His I don't know what type of covers they run on the back end, but you have Kyle Hamilton, you have Alexander, you have all these guys, right? You have some talent back there, and you have the rookie. I know they got from Clemson a couple of years ago. He seems to be jumping off of the screen. He's coming along, but it just always takes them the first half of the season to come along. And the thing is, the Baltimore is a prisoner of their own success because they've been so good that they have been rewarded with some of the toughest starts to the NFL season I think any team's ever had to. I've never seen an NFL team that's had to play like six out of the first 8 games are against playoff teams or teams that have done really well over a period of time. So they've had to play the Bills and Kansas City Chiefs, and then they get the Cleveland Browns, and then they have to play Detroit in prime time. But I think what's concerning about this defense this year is like you look at what's going on with Derrick Henry, and this was my fear with Derrick Henry. I said, at the beginning of the year, he's older, he's 30 plus, and though he is a specimen of the running back, he is. We're talking about a true 6'3" guy, 240, 250. You can tell that Father Time is beginning to creep up on him a little bit when it comes to not his production per se, but just his ability to kind of hit the hole at a very authoritative way to compare to how he used to hit it earlier in his career. And it's natural. He's a running back, and their shelf life is not very long. But the fact that he has played into his 30s is a testament to the type of running back he is. But the problem is they don't really have a running back behind him that you really feel confident about. I mean, you have Justice Hill, is I'm not saying that right? Hill. Um, So, but you don't really consider him a run downhill type of back. You consider him a blocking slash he can catch out the backfield and get you some yards that way. But they haven't leaned on him because Derrick Henry's kind of been the workhorse back for the last couple of years. I'm concerned more about the Lamar Jackson injury more than anything because of the type of way he's a dual threat quarterback that has a hamstring injury. And my fear is that if this game doesn't go their way today, they're going to try to, Lamar Jackson might rush himself back.
Yep.
He might be, because that's the type of guy that Lamar Jackson is. He's a competitor. He's a gamer. He does not like to lose, but at the same time, you're the way he plays. You just worry that if he runs or if he gets hit a certain way, now he makes a hamstring injury much worse. And now we're talking about he's out for an extended time that could dip into the division, where that could really impact. As of today, the Baltimore Ravens are the 11th best team in the AFC. I think right now the wild card plays out as Jacksonville. And let me I'm going to look at it for you guys so you guys can see it. But because I was looking at this morning, I was like really shocked about where the Ravens are right now. But if the playoffs were to start today, there's a lot of season, guys. So I'm not going to be over exaggerated. It'll be the Bengals who will probably be out within the next 4 weeks, right? They're number 6. They would be in the playoff as a wild card. The Jacksonville Jaguars, which they've been up and down this year. The quarterback play has kind of been inconsistent. Then you have Kansas City Chiefs. I expect them to kind of move up as the season goes with how Los Angeles has kind of looked. They can be had. So you have those teams, and then you go all the way down to number 12, and that's where you find the Baltimore Ravens. And I think there is a pathway for them to make the playoffs, but if they can't get it done out of the division, now they have to win the division. And with the Steelers and even the Browns, I think the Browns are a team that if they can find the right quarterback, whether that's still in Gabriel or, if they go Shador Sanders and they, catch fire, they start having rookie luck, right? And they look good or they look serviceable. Now the Browns become one of those teams that's tough to beat, and they have a very stout defense. They just need an offense that can stay on the field. That's it. Just move the ball downfield, get us 17, 20 points. We can win games that way. That's how the Browns are trying to win games. They're trying to keep teams under 20 points. They're trying to offensively, they're trying to at least average 17 to 20 points, and they can win games ugly that way because they have a very good defense. So I'm very concerned for Lamar Jackson because, he is the straw that makes that drink stir in Baltimore. And if he is not the same type of explosive Lamar Jackson, that team's in trouble because Lamar is not a guy that you can just say, hey, sit in the pocket and read. He's a guy that kind of likes to be on the move. You roll him out. You have to have the threat of his feet in order for defense to have to think about what they're doing because Baltimore doesn't have a guy, in my estimate, that can separate that well outside of Flowers, maybe. Everybody else can kind of you can play them straight up, you can scheme it and take guys away. But I think it's one of those things that, and I'll go over where they are with the schedule. Like they have a ridiculous schedule as it is. And let me say this. I think that they play a very good game today because so you must go. They have to against the Houston Texans today at home. Houston's the place they got to win. So this is going to be a good game. I think Cooper Rush is going to become the Cooper Rush of the Cowboys because he has to kind of keep them afloat right now. But looking at this, they got the Texans today, which I think they have to. It's a must win. They can't afford to go 1-4 today. But then they have the Rams, and if Lamar Jackson's not playing that game, I'm going to go Rams. The Bears is a toss-up. I think that the Bears' defense is not that great, but their offense, you're going to have to score some points. And if they don't have Lamar Jackson back, we'll see. At the Dolphins, believe it or not, I know you're really hard on your Dolphins, but I would say that, if they're not careful, the Dolphins have shown that they can, be formidable, at least at home. They can mess around and lose that game, with the Dolphins kind of playing crazy just because they, I just kind of see a Dolphin.
Baltimore had like an opposite record of them for the better a couple years ago, and Miami beat them on Thursday night. So I don't like those Thursday night games. They're weird.
They're very weird, and it's like you guys are at home in Miami, so it's like you guys are not going up to Baltimore. It's kind of like I think they're going to look at it like Okay, well they're missing Tyreek Hill, but you still have Waddle. You still have Waddle. You still have the running back room. So you still have some pieces you have to worry about. And Baltimore's defense is not good. I think they're like bottom third of the league right now in terms of statistics. So that's just my concern for them. And I just think that you lose against the Rams. I think today's a toss up because it's going to be an emotional game. I think, they're going to come out and it's going to be a very close and competitive game. I think the Ravens can win today, but they need a lot to go right and they need to keep their defense off the field. They need to have long, sustaining drives and to really lean on Derrick Henry today. And they're going to have to stick with him regardless if he fumbles or not. Like, you cannot go away from a 6'3", 240-pound guy. And I think that's where a lot of people have problems with John Harbaugh and the offensive coordinator, because it's like, hey, look, you bought this big guy in for Lamar to take the stress of him having to do everything off, and you can't go away when something happens early. But if you're not able to stop the run, I mean, I think teams are averaging like 150 between over 100 yards. I do know that for sure on the Baltimore Ravens defense, in part because Metabike is out, and that's their run stopper, and a lot of other guys are out to kind of help contain the run. So you can run on Baltimore, but it's just like, I just think you have to stay true to your identity and you have to kind of give your defense a reprieve and take advantage of those turnovers when they come, because CJ Stroud will throw you one. He will throw you one today, but I don't know. I think it looks very bleak for them. They could go two. They could be 2-4 or 2-5. I have them winning maybe being 1-3 in this next stretch. It's very tough for them.
Yeah, and it's so hard to judge the first or the first month of the season with what you're going to get. Because at the end of the day, yeah, Baltimore has 3 losses, but that's just 3. Like, you could flip a switch and be 500. It's not like we're talking about December games. It's September. It's October now, but we were talking about September. But like you said, today is going to be interesting because I'm trying to get my thought together and also not cough. Today is going to be interesting. I think Baltimore should have the edge because they are at home. I think that this is going to be a really close game unless one team can jump out at the beginning, which, yeah, possible, but unlikely, I feel like. Houston knows the opportunity that they have. They know that they can go on a run. They're coming off their best performance of the year. It's the first time they scored more than 20 points in a game. I don't care that it came across the Titans. You still have to show up to the field and play. And something has to give because Baltimore has scored 30 or more points in the last 4 home games, but the Texans are giving up 16 points a game. So one of those is going to break today. And just
Derrick Henry, it's on you today, buddy.
I have to. So, like, yes, they have Derrick Henry, but they also have Justice Hill and they have Keaton Mitchell. They need to activate Keaton Mitchell in these situations. And I haven't seen if he's active or not. But what's the worst that happens? You try to use all these different looks out of the backfield and you lose. Well, you could lose anyway. So why not put somebody out there who there's not a lot of tape, the other team's not prepping for? I don't know. I guess I'm really interested in watching the game today, even though
it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a great game, and I think with what the Houston Texans are going to try to do, I just think that psychologically it plays against them in this game, because I think they look at the fact of all the injuries that Baltimore has. It's kind of hard to get up for a team that that you can be on paper, but you actually have to go in the stadium and do it. We saw with what happened with the Rams. The Rams didn't have their quarterback and a whole lot of guys, and they went at home, mind you. And I have Matthew Stafford starting. Thank you for your 31 points, but still, I expected you to win that game. They didn't look good, so I think you guys have the psychological advantage of, hey, you have nothing to lose. Houston might come in a little relaxed and be like, hey, we just got to go show up, right? But it's still Baltimore. You still have to go in. For Cooper has had some success in his career being in this type of role. You're not, he didn't, last game I know it wasn't ideal. He got bought in midway through when the team wasn't doing so well. It didn't look well. He has had some preparation. I'm pretty sure offensively they're going to try to lean on things he's good at and say, hey, look, we're going to hand the ball off, and let our running back room kind of carry us to the game. And so I think if they can do that and keep CJ Stroud on the sideline for most of, they have to win the time of possession. They have to play physical ball. And I think if they can do that against this stout defense, easier said than done, I think that they can be successful today. And I think they can even win. They can pull off like an ugly, like, I'll take a 17-13 game because I think Houston's offense is sputtered. And I think this is a game for Coach Orr where like his defense has to look somewhat respectable, or they're going to be calling for his job pretty soon. Usually it's the coordinators that go first, and it's like you have had 2 seasons where this defense does not look good to start the first 8 weeks, and then you guys it's began to click later on in the season. But to your point, if conditioning is a problem and you're using the first half of the season to get into shape, it's like, okay, what are we doing in the off season so that when we start these games, we're not becoming what Cincinnati is in September in the first 8 weeks. You
Right.
know, you want to have that. So that's my thoughts on that. I just think that Baltimore here, they have to go 500 in the next 2 games to kind of you want to see them be 3-5 versus 2-7. I think if they do that, the season's over. I mean, it's tough to rebound from 2-7. You're going to ask a lot of. I think it's one of those Lamar comes back too soon. I see that, and he's like, I'm going to play, and he goes out there, and something crazy happens in a divisional game because the division is very physical. And I think that pushes the season away. Then the fire Harbaugh chants become louder because everybody wants thinks that the Baltimore Ravens are built to win a championship. They are on paper, but you have to win against these better teams you're going to see later on in December and January. Just have to. So we'll see what happens today. Do you have any more thoughts on this one?
In all likelihood, Lamar Jackson should be out till week 8 after their bye, if it was me. I know that there have been some murmurs about that, but the fact that the coaching staff didn't let him come try it today tells me that it is an injury that is worth monitoring on a deeper level. And it makes sense. The hamstring injuries usually take, if you're doing them correctly, if it's minor, 3 weeks.
Like 3 weeks.
Well, why wouldn't you just let him rest till after the bye?
Yeah. I would. We're gonna see what happens. We'll keep an eye on the situation in Baltimore for sure.